This episode is sponsored by ODP Business Solutions, built to address all your facility needs. Visit odpbusiness.com today. If you've ever dreaded picking up the phone and you stalled before making a sales call, or you felt like you were begging for business instead of building value, this discussion is for you. Sales call reluctance is a challenge nearly every salesperson faces at some point, and it can even keep the most talented professionals from reaching their potential. Today, I'm joined by a seasoned business coach who specializes in helping salespeople overcome these mental and emotional roadblocks. Dave Kahle, how are you doing today?
I think I'm okay.
You
How,
think
how
you're
are you
okay?
doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Yeah. Today's topic, I'm looking forward to this. I'm thinking if I was a salesperson, I don't know if I could make all those calls, Dave, and
Yeah, yeah,
get no's all the time.
yeah, yeah.
So it's a topic. Do you see this often in your business coaching as an issue?
I think there's two classes of people. One, as far as salespeople goes, one is the field salesperson who's got an established territory. I don't see it in them because basically they're calling on people they know, and that's fine. They're happy with that. But where I see it the most is with a new salesperson who does not have an established territory, that everyone out there does not know him or her, and that's a challenge. And sometimes you get sort of beaten down and you get afraid and gets to be an issue.
If I want to get into an industry and I'm going to be a salesperson, I know this is coming. I realize
Mm,
the telephone, those cold calls are
yeah,
reality.
yeah,
How do you prepare people, these new salespeople, especially as you mentioned, to
yeah,
jump in and be positive and effective?
yeah. Well, it speaks to confidence. You want them to be confident. And from my experience, you can get confident through history, through experience, or you can get it through practice. And it's hard to be confident any other way. Any other way, it's a fake. You're not really truly confident. So if you're a new salesperson, you don't have the experience in this field. You don't have the experience with these folks, and so experience isn't necessarily the answer. So what is the answer? What's left? Practice. And so, if you're going to be making calls and you're reluctant, as a lot of salespeople are, the answer is practice, and that means, yeah, you ought to create some scripts. You don't have to memorize them word for word, although it's okay to memorize little snippets of conversation and practice them, role play them. You should have people you can role play with, your boss or someone else, until you feel like you're confident. So the first issue is confidence, and for most salespeople, the way to arrive at that point is through practice. And like I tell this story. So my first full-time sales position, we went to sales class, about a dozen or so. Took us to Mill Valley, California, and every day we had two 3-page single-spaced presentations to memorize. And the sales for 6 weeks, we gave those presentations to the class, had it videotaped, critiqued, and did it over for 6 weeks. By the time we got out of there, man, we knew we knew those presentations because we had practiced them, over and over again. And so we were confident. So yeah, practice.
So you mentioned you did that exercise where you videotaped and you did the training
Mm,
there, but
mm.
do you also believe in recording conversations, salespeople calling clients, and then
Yeah,
playing those over? How does that work?
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah. Because this is one of the issues with salespeople. You can do that on the phone. It's pretty hard to do that when you're live with somebody. And salespeople, for the most part, have an inflated view of their own abilities. And I like to say sometimes it's self-delusion. They for the most part, because they don't have a standard to compare themselves to, so they feel like they're doing well because that's comfortable and easy to believe, when in fact they may not be doing it all well, but they have no way of knowing that. They have no way. How can they see it? How do they compare it? And so that's not true for people over the phone. Or the phone, you can record it. You can hear yourself. You can hear that. You can listen objectively to think, oh, I should have done this. Oh, I'm sorry I said that. But so it's easier when you're on the phone. When you're live in front of a customer, it's a whole different story.
So I imagine this may be something you've talked about in the past. You could take the recording of your calls to a client, you could put it into the transcript into AI and ask it to analyze you. Is that something you believe in, or
Well, I have not yet done that.
your next project?
But that doesn't mean that it won't be a good idea. As most people, I'm continually amazed at the capabilities of AI,
Mhm.
and I wouldn't be surprised that that's a good thing to do. And now I've just talked myself out of a job.
Oh, no, it's a tool. It doesn't replace anybody, but I just
Yeah.
wonder if it might pick up things like a pattern. But let's talk about something you just mentioned when these salespeople are confident, or maybe they're
hmm
not, but
hmm
some of them work remotely. Some of them aren't around
hmm
others.
hmm
Do you see that impacting their abilities in the world of working remote and they're by themselves? They don't have a team to encourage them.
Yeah, it's really a big issue, and I like to say that's one of the biggest changes from someone who is inside sales to someone who's outside, and that no one ever thinks of this. When you're inside, you say, "Oh man, they're making the big bucks. I want to go out." You don't think of some of the things that come with it, and one of the things that comes with it is isolation. An outside salesperson is a very isolated person because according to most people who study these things, average outside salesperson works about 49 hours a week and spends about 20% of that with customers in communication. So that's what, let's say 8 hours. So 8 out of 40, at least 40. So who are you with the rest of the time? Yourself. And that for a lot of people is an issue because you have to learn how to manage yourself. You have to learn how to manage your emotions. You have to learn how to manage your thoughts. And therefore, that allows you to manage your time. You can be more effective. But those are core issues for a field salesperson that nobody ever talks about. But they're absolutely essential to success in an outside sales job.
Well, we're talking about it right now, so those watching
Mhm.
pay attention to that. You're right, being
Mhm.
all alone, that might work with some people, but with others it may not.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, for some it's a strength, you
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
sure.
Mhm.
So, just a couple more points. I have a product to sell or a service. I know everything about it. I can talk about it. But when you make that cold call, you have to have something called small talk.
Mm.
How important is that? Or should you just jump right in and get right to the point? Any thoughts there
Mm.
on what you tell your
Yeah.
clients?
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I'd call it small talk. I think I would say developing conversation with a customer, building relationships with a customer. Those are incredibly important. And I'll tell a story of myself. For years, I sold hospital supplies, and we had 70,000 line items. So I sold stuff I didn't even know what it was. It's from my perspective, and again, I work with people in all kinds of industries, and from my perspective, from what I do, the product is not important. The process is what's important. Learning how to make a contact, learning how to put somebody at ease, learning how to build a relationship, learning how to find out what they want, learning how to do those, regardless of what the product is. Doesn't matter what the product is. Those are essentials in the sales process that are far more important than the product itself. I mean, if you pride yourself as the guy who knows the product, then your days are numbered. Honestly, because they can go to the computer and look it up. What do they need you to tell them? So you have to bring value in other ways. Now, should you know the product? Yeah, you should know the product, but that's not That's not the most important thing. The most important thing is the process and your ability to communicate effectively, to be a consultant effectively, to be a chameleon, to reflect each person's personality, to make them feel comfortable with you. Those are the core sales competencies. And people who excel in those competencies excel in selling regardless of what the product is.
Strike small talk. It's gone. We're gonna build relationships. Yeah.
There you go.
No, I like that, Dave. Very good advice. And I agree. I've had salespeople come to my door and they jump into the small talk, and some of it works. Often it doesn't because they're talking about things that I'm like, what are you here for? So
Yeah, exactly,
yeah,
exactly. So you have to, you have to be able to read the room. You have to
read the
read
room.
your customer. Absolutely, yeah. And that's a competency. That's a communication competency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Close with a few final thoughts, Dave, if you would, on maybe some final words of advice that especially newer salespeople or those struggling can really embrace and use right now.
Yeah. I'm more and more struck with the power of affirmations and self-talk, So I would say, and when you're in that kind of situation, you're subject to these negative emotions and bad stuff happen because somebody says no, the other guy doesn't return a phone call, on and on it goes. So you need something to stand in against that. And what stands against it is affirmations and personal conversations. So create a set of affirmations that put them on a 3x5 card or something like that. Put them on your phone and read them to yourself on a regular basis. Tell yourself, I really am strong. I really can figure this out. The things like that, and feed your mind and your soul and your heart positive thoughts, and that'll help a lot.
As the modern workplace evolves, organizations must evolve as well. They need a partner that understands this new world of work. We are that partner. We are ODP Business Solutions, formerly Office Depot Business Solutions Division. More than just office supplies, ODP is a force for change, helping address technology transformation, sustainability, innovative workspace design, cleaning, break room, and more, making organizations everywhere say, oh, when they see how much more we can do. ODP Business Solutions.